One of the biggest challenges for me in the beginning of my business was delegating. It was hard for me to find someone else to do various tasks because I thought they couldn't do it as good as me. Once I finally hired a virtual assistant VA, things changed for the better for me and my business. This is Charnel Talks, and I'm Charnel. I am the owner of a successful cleaning service in Atlanta, Georgia. Today, we're going to be talking about VAs. All right, so let me define what a VA is. A VA is a virtual assistant, someone who works in your company, but they're not there physically. They work remotely. So they can be in your area and work remotely. They can be overseas. There's so many things they can do. Whatever you need in your company, whatever task you need completed, whatever expertise you need, you can hire a VA for. So I like to create an avatar for my VAs. So for my marketing VA, I will describe this person, and you want to be as specific as possible. You want to say, I want someone who has 3 years experience. I want them to have experience with creating cold email campaigns. I want them to have experience with creating SMS campaigns. I want them to have experience creating things in Canva. You can pinpoint it specifically. I did this a while back for my front office VA. I wanted someone very specific. I have a notebook. I wish I would have brought it. I have a notebook where I was very specific. I said I wanted a female who was bilingual, who had experience, customer service experience. I wanted someone who was upbeat. They were very easy to talk to. I wanted someone who followed up with me, who answered my questions and performed different tasks. And we'll talk about that later. Different tests you can create during your hiring process to see if this is a good fit. But I was very strategic. So when I interviewed different people and they didn't check off the boxes, I knew, okay, this isn't the person. This isn't who I need. And I was able to cut back on my interview time because that person didn't hit the specific requirements that I wanted and needed. Another thing is you want to make sure that you understand you, right? I knew for me, I knew I needed a problem solver. I knew I did not want phone calls multiple times a day saying, Charnel, how do I do this? Charnel, this is an issue. Charnel, this customer complained. So what I did is I looked for a problem solver. I wanted someone who solved problems. I wanted to hear about their experience solving problems for a different employer. Also, I have an SOP. So in my SOP, it describes how to do everything. So if certain issues and things arise, they know what to do. That their first thing is to check the SOP. Also, I tell my VAs, before you come to me with any type of issue, I want you to come up with 3 possible solutions because I'm going to ask, right? If they say, oh, this customer, this, or the cleaner, that, I'm going to say, okay, what are the 3 suggestions or things you think we should do? Because a lot of times, if they're independent, they'll figure it out themselves. So you want to make sure you are very, very strategic and firm about what you're looking for, and someone that matches your personality type. Maybe you're someone that doesn't want that you hover. Maybe you want day by day play. Like, I want to know what's going on every hour. I want to update. That's fine too. is that person able to do that, right? So it's different ways and tricks and things you can ask to determine that type of, if that person is a good fit for you. So you also want to make sure that you create a VA for an avatar for each VA you want. So my front office VA requirements are different from someone who is a marketing VA, right? It's different responsibilities. It may be less experience. Maybe I want someone, so my front office VA, she has to be bilingual. I need someone bilingual. My marketing person, he doesn't have to speak to anyone. So he doesn't necessarily have to be fluent in English. So when you write down this list and you specify, okay, this is what I need, this is what's going to make my company successful, that's how you find that right person. Also, you want to make sure you acknowledge what your weaknesses are. You want to acknowledge that, okay, I'm not good at sales. I need to hire a VA that their strength is in sales. I had one of my business coaches told me, we were conversing and I was telling her, I forgot what the task was, but I said, I don't feel like doing it. Because she was asking me, okay, why hasn't this task been completed? And I'm like, I don't feel like doing it. I don't want to do it. And she was like, that's fine. Like, you don't have to do it, but it still needs to get done. So you need to hire someone who can do it. And that's what that VA is for. They free up time for you to focus on doing the things that you do best. And that's what helps your company grow. So it's a lot of things that you want to make sure and pinpoint with your VA. Your VA is going to be there to make sure things don't fall through the cracks. My VA makes sure that we don't miss a phone call, because that's very important to me. I'm real big on our calls being answered. So because I have this VA, I know I couldn't do it. I know it wasn't physically possible for me to do all the things that I need to do on a daily basis and still be available to answer the phones, to give quotes over the phone, to problem solve, to put out fires, right? It's no way I can do all those things. So your VA helps with that, right? If you feel overwhelmed, then you may need a VA. If you feel like everything is on you, you're doing all the things, you probably need a VA to help you. You need to hire someone who possesses your weaknesses as strengths. You're a team. Set it up that way. Hire people that's going to make your company bigger and stronger. Now, there are key differences when hiring a VA compared to an in-office person. So an employee or someone that you have physically in your office, you're going to have to pay more expenses. If you're in the United States, you have to pay taxes on this person. If they're in your office, you have to pay rent. You have to pay for their office equipment, the supplies, the pens, the pencils, the paper, all the things that they need to be successful in that role. With a VA, they provide all those things. They are typically working from home, or they can be in a actual office setting. Some VAs work like that, and they have their own cubicle and they're working, but typically most of them, at least the ones I've worked with, are working from home. So you want to make sure that going back to creating an avatar, you want to make sure that you specify, okay, do I want this VA to be exclusive to me? Or is it okay if they work other accounts or work for other companies, which is perfectly fine, right? You can negotiate the price as well, because if they're working other accounts, then you may not have to pay as much per hour or per job or per day, however you're paying this person, because they're also getting income at the same time from a different business. So you want to make sure you ask those questions, because you don't want to think that this VA is you're the only one they're working for, and they can't answer the phone because they're on the phone with a customer from company B, right? So you want to make sure you outline that and you're clear, and that they're clear, right? If they're a marketing person, maybe they can have multiple accounts or businesses that they're working with, because it's not they don't have to consistently work on your business for, from 9 to 5. They can create multiple marketing campaigns within that time frame. Also, if they are working in a different time zone, that's huge as well. They can say, if they're working my marketing campaign here in Atlanta, and then they're working a marketing campaign for a company in London, England, right? Then it makes sense that, they can do that. So you want to make sure you understand the differences between the two. With employees, you can keep a better eye on them. I can physically walk into the office, and if I want to sit there and stare at you for 8 hours and see what you're doing, I can, right? I don't know if the VA is sitting on her bed answering phones or sending out emails or taking naps in between the shift, right? That's the risk you run. But there's ways to evaluate. You'll know that, right? There's been times when I've spoken to a VA and I said, okay, did you just wake up? It sounds like you're sleeping. Because it is, a huge time difference, especially for me, if I hire someone, my VA, in the Philippines, I know there's a 12-hour difference. They're 12 hours ahead. So I know when it's 9 o'clock here in the morning, it's 9 p.m. there. When I know when it's 2 in the afternoon here, it's 2 in the morning there. So you want to make sure you factor in those things too, that, okay, this person can actually be present and work the hours, my work hours, my business hours, right? And I find that VAs overseas tend to have a different work ethic and understanding than some other people. So you want to, make sure you're mindful about that. And then you want to specify how you're going to pay them, the pay structure. Are you going to pay them hourly? Are you going to pay them a retainer? Are you going to pay them per project? Right? That it depends on the actual task. You can pay them a salary. You can do it however you want to do it. So you want to make sure you're researching what VAs in that particular country doing those specific tasks are being paid, so you can be competitive. So there's a lot of pros and cons of hiring a VA, right? If you hire someone overseas, they tend to be cheaper. Either way, if you hire a VA, it's going to be cheaper, right? Because if I have a VA that's local, this particular person is not coming into an office. I'm not paying or having to buy office equipment and furniture to house them for those 8 hours. So it is definitely cheaper. But with a VA here in your area, or an employee, they tend to understand the culture and the ways we do things. They also understand the area. So because I am a service business provider, if I hire an employee, they typically know the areas here in Atlanta. So they know that just because you say you're in Atlanta, that can be far north, far south, east, west. Atlanta itself is huge, but it's broken up into different sections. So that's a learning curve, right? That a VA would have to learn and understand. You want to make sure that, you explain those things to them, because you can't blame someone for something you did not train them on. period. You have to go through all the training so that they have an understanding, and you need to make sure they have an understanding, not just, oh yeah, I get it. Oh yeah, I've done this before. No, they need to understand because your business is different. So you want to make sure that they understand all of those things. So now you may be asking, where do I find this VA? Where do I find this virtual assistant? It's a lot of different places you can find a VA, right? You can do locally, you can ask colleagues. I've referred VAs to some of my colleagues when they were looking, and vice versa. And you also can post, right? You can post online. There's different job boards like Indeed. Indeed is a good one. My last VA, I found her on Indeed. You could do LinkedIn. You could do Facebook groups. They do have VA groups for VA groups. Oh my goodness, Facebook groups for VAs that people are always on there looking for work. There's people on there looking for workers. So that's a good one. Fiverr, Upwork. You can post on different boards, maybe at church, the supermarkets. You can reach out to moms who are busy or who are working at home. You can, college students. It's a plethora of different ways and avenues for you to find these VAs, right? And as you progress, you'll learn what works best for you. You'll understand which platforms work best for you. Also, another one I forgot to mention is onlinejobs.ph, and that's where you can find a lot of VAs that are based in the Philippines. So that's a good one. I want to make sure I didn't forget that one because I have found VAs on that platform. So you want to make sure you just, and also let me make this clear. You are going to go through many VAs until you find that one that sticks, right? Because you're learning the process. You're learning, okay, what do I need to communicate to this VA? What do I need to have in place? What don't I want? So I was able to write down a lot of specifics I wanted for my VA when I was creating the avatar, is because I've been doing this for almost 2 decades now. So I've learned, okay, I don't want this. I've had issues with this type of VA. Oh, this VA is in, I don't want to say a particular country, and it's a communication gap. It was difficult for my clients to understand, or just their way of doing things or understanding things that come naturally to them can cause issues. So you just want to, make note of these things. So when you do decide to hire a VA, you'll know. Or if you fire one and need to hire another one, okay, okay, I need to cross this out. And it's the same way when you hire any other type of person for a role in your company. You want to make sure you pay attention to certain things that you like, dislike, things that work for your company, for your clients, because every industry is different. Every niche is different. You may be in a field where you have to cater to your clients more. You may have clients that are just so busy and they just want to get to the point. They don't need to be nurtured and woo-wooed. So you need to make sure you find the right fit that can handle those type of customers and also handle your temperament. I can't stop saying that enough because it took me a while to realize that, okay, I know how I am and I need a certain person that can deal with me and operate the way I need them to. So when you're looking for your VA, you want to make sure they have good communication skills. You want them to be able to communicate with you the way you want to be communicated to, whether it's a voice job or if it's just at the computer or admin job or task. You want to make sure that they communicate with you the way you prefer, whether it could be Slack, it could be WhatsApp, it could be email. You can say, I want a report at the end of the day, or I want an update every 3 days of how the campaign is going. I want to know the numbers. I want to know how many people you've reached out to. You have to specify those things. And that's when that SOP, comes in place, and you can outline those things so they know, okay, these are the expectations. Because what you don't inspect, you can't expect, period, right? If you don't give them specific instructions, they're going to do what they feel is best, or what they think is best, or what they understand to be right. So you want to make sure that you are clear, crystal clear, that they know what to do. Now, you may run into some issues where you're like, oh, I should have told them this. And that's fine, right? I tell my staff all the time, I am okay with making a mistake. I make mistakes. But you want to make sure it doesn't happen again, because if it happens again and again, then it is a habit. It's not a mistake anymore, because now you know that you weren't supposed to do that and you're doing it anyway. So now it's a habit. It's not a mistake anymore. So you want to look for reliable indicators, right? When you interview them, did they show up on time? Did they, you check their references? Outline those things that are important to you. That way you can find that VA that is a good fit for you and for your business, right? You want to make sure that their technical proficiency, right? If they're going to be, if they're just going to transcribe, which, I mean, AI does that, and they don't need to necessarily be tech savvy, then okay. But the day and age we're in now, everyone needs to be tech savvy. So you want to make sure that they understand the different softwares that you use. And if it is software that isn't maybe like mainstream, you want to make sure you have trainings in place to show them how to do it, or use it. That way they have a reference point and they're not calling you. So my SOPs, I have training videos. I'm showing, okay, this is how you do this. This is how you book a cleaning. This is how you answer the phone. This is how you do the payroll. All of those things. So I'm not getting call after call after call. So you want to make sure that they are tech savvy. You want to make sure that their time zone is compatible, that they're able and comfortable working your business hours. Because, like I said earlier, you don't want someone working that is falling asleep, right? Or I had one VA. This was kind of funny. So she was in the Philippines. So around 5 o'clock, around 4 or 5 o'clock, you can hear a rooster cock-a-doodle doing whatever. And I was just like, oh my goodness, I'm listening to the recordings and I hear this rooster in the background. So you want to ask, okay, do you have noise canceling headphones? Are you in a quiet area? Are you in the country? At 5 o'clock, and when you're talking to my customer, are they going to hear a rooster in the background? And, we live in a day and age where it's not unusual that people have representation overseas. And, some people are privy to that. But that also goes back to you understanding your clientele. Will your clientele be okay with that, right? and the image that you want to portray with your business. So you also want to make sure that they have the experience and the capability to deal with your workload. So if you're high traffic and the phones are just ringing off the hook, can they handle that? Do they have experience with high volume phone calls? Do they have experience with managing thousands of emails or thousands of phone numbers or a team of, your workers? So you want to make sure they have that experience. And you want to, I don't want people, when I interview people, and I don't care what role this is, I don't want them to tell me what they would do or if that issue came up. I want to know real life experience. I want to know, what did you do when that situation arose? So you want to make sure that they're telling you, okay, this is what happened and this is what I did. Not what you would do, what I did. Very important, because people will tell you, oh, if the house is burning, I would run into it and I would get the baby out. And then when the fire comes, they just standing there scared because they don't want to run into a burning building, right? So a lot of people will tell you what they think they would do. I don't want to know what you think you would do. I want to know what you have done, because you need those you need that proof. You need those receipts, right? So a few tips for when I'm interviewing people. So if I'm hiring a VA and it's for a voice position, they'll be talking. I close my eyes while they're talking so I can ask myself, okay, can I really understand what they're saying? Is their speech clear? A lot of times, because me growing up, I grew up around different nationalities. So it's easy for me to understand what what people are saying who have different accents. So I'm like, okay, I get it. So you want to make sure you do that. And you also want to think in the lens of your client. You want to look through the lens of your text. If you have a service business, you want to make sure you look through the lens of whoever your VA will be serving, right? So if they're doing cold emails, okay, are they creating the emails? Is it proper English? Is the punctuation correct? Does it make sense? Are they putting the correct there in the email? All these things. So you want to test them. You want to say, okay, send me an email before 3:00 tomorrow on your availability, or send me an email with the last 5 people you worked for, right? That is part of the interview process, because you're going to see, does this person follow instructions? Does this person know how to send an email? Let's not assume everybody knows how to send it. Let's not assume everyone knows how to send an email, because everyone does not. Trust me, I have met those people. So you want the things that are important to you, test it, right? Record your interview. Ask someone else who maybe isn't familiar with the different accents. Okay, can you understand what this person is saying? Is their speech clear? Ask. And then you want to ask them, I want you to assess this call for clarity. I've done it before, right? I would say, okay, I have this recording. What do you think? Would you get frustrated talking to this person, right? Because a lot of times we get frustrated talking to these VA. I know when I've called customer service for different companies and I'm trying to explain something, my issue, I want to have it resolved. They can't understand what I'm saying. I don't know what they're saying. It's frustrating. That's not the image you want to portray to your customers and to your staff and whoever they'll be coming into contact with. So you want to make sure you look out for red flags. You want to ask them, okay, why did you leave your last company? What does a good boss look like to you? This is a good question. This is a good question I ask whoever, right? Because this will tell you a lot. So they may say, my best boss let me call out whenever I wanted to. They let me, my child is sick and I needed to take them to the doctor once a week or twice a week, and they were okay with that, and that was the best boss ever. And you're thinking, okay, well, I can't do that. It's not possible for me to do that. Or you want to make sure you ask those questions, because they may say that was my best boss, right? Or they may say my worst boss was someone who made me submit a report every day. They may say those things that you want, need, or do. So that will be your red flag. So you want to make sure that you're asking that and just get clarity. So I hope this video helped. If you have questions, put it in the comments. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.